Hello everybody, thank you for joining me again today. Today I'm going to talk about this beautiful quilt behind me. This is a vintage 1930s/40s, I think it's closer to 40s, quilt that I bought in America. And this is a traditional block and it's the grandmother's fan, but this is a variation of it in that, see how like a normal fan block would be individual blades. This one, they join two blades together and get a deeper curve on those blades. Now, I've called this Mary Jo's fan for a special lady in my life, and we've produced a template set in that size, which is 7.5 inch finished block. But we've also produced it in a 4.5 inch size, which makes a cute little block that looks like this. So this is it, or probably this way is the better way to show you. So just to give you a comparison, the 7.5 inch block and the 4.5 inch block finished, that's the finished size. So today I'm going to give you a demonstration on how we use these templates and how we sew this block together. I've hand pieced this. This is originally hand pieced, and I'm hand piecing this one, and I'll give you some pressing tips as well as we go. So first off, these are the templates. So I'm going to work on the 4.5 inch sides today. So we have 4 templates in the set. Template A is the center, and there's 4 blades actually. This one, this one, this one, and this one, and they're just reversed. So it's template A. Template B is the 2 end pieces. Template C is this piece here, because that's the other unique thing about this block, in that it's not, the fan is not appliqued onto the block, it's actually pieced in. The background is pieced into the blades. And then the final piece is D, which is the quarter circle in the corner here. Okay, so moving along, I actually have made, or I am in making, I've not finished, this block from 2 charm square packs of Jo Morton fabric. So these are her current ranges. So this is Hopewell, this is Rose, and I've just mixed them up basically in these blocks. So I'll show you a few of the little blocks. So those of you who know Jo's fabric will recognize that there's a bit of everything in each, and so they make quite cute little blocks, and this is how they will be joined together. So sorry, I'll take this away to show you. They'll come together like this into a little quilt that's going to be 5 blocks wide and about 6 long. There's a couple extra in there. I'm actually making 32 blocks, so I will put a leaflet in the kit to tell you how many blocks are both in this kit, this quilt, and in this quilt, so that you can get an idea of what you might want to make. Now, while I'm talking fabric, in the shop we have, this is a set of fabrics from Christopher Wilson Tate that's been done by Dutch Heritage, and they're 1930s reproductions. We sell these in quite a range of pre-cut packs, plus we've got it on the bolt. So this is the fat 1/8 pack, and we also sell them as a 10 centimetre roll pack, and we've also got a 20 centimetre roll, and of course a fat 1/4 pack. So you can order whichever quantity you want. Again, I'll try and give you a quantity roughly in the leaflet that goes with the template set to tell you roughly how much fabric you will need. We also have these little fat 1/8 packs of 1930s fabrics, which would mix in quite well with these. So yeah, you can see that these are a slightly darker palette, but they work in together. Okay. Moving right along, we will show you how to put one of these blocks together. So these are your 4 templates. I sort of went through the packs. I pulled out the lights in the packs to use for the template C, and then I've used a really dark one in the packs for the template D, and then I've just mixed up the other prints to put in the blades of the block. But for the purposes of the demo, I'm going to trace off a couple for you. So again, these are our keyhole templates, and if you wish, we can do papers for these templates if you want to work that way, but for the purposes of today's demo, I'm going to hand piece it for you. So simply a matter of, with a vertical pencil, trace around the template, because I tend to hand cut these. It's an activity to do at night when I'm watching TV or in the car. Not that I get to go in the car lately. And then just every little, these are actually all your registration marks to bring the, so when you're pinning it together, you can match up the seams on your blades to this piece so that it go together quite easily. I'll show you that as we go. So that's just to explain. I keep the pencil vertical. I use a 2B lead in the pencil and just a gentle pressure to mark on the fabric. And I'm not sure that you'll see that from a distance, but hopefully we can come in close with that camera and show you the drawings on there. They're quite light drawings. I don't like to go too heavy. So just to show you on the back of this block, the markings show up more on the lighter fabrics, of course, and these are the stitches that are right on that line as we put the block together. Now, while I'm here, you'll notice that I have pieced the blades together. I do the blades first, piece those together, and I open those seams up, and it's really to reduce the bulk in the block. Then I treat the light and press towards the dark, and I've also pressed that quarter circle towards the quarter circle as well. Now, the reason I've done that is that it will give dimension to this on the quilt. So if you can imagine that that's a normal fan sitting there, the pressing means that that becomes a little bit more dimensional, and so does this section here, so that this actually becomes a background then as every seeds. All right, so I'll just show you what I've been doing over here. So this is a set of blades that I've laid out and put together. So there's 5 here, so I've just got to sew an end on this block. So that's going to go there. So I'll just show you quickly how I do that. I do have another video where I've explained in more detail about the keyhole templates and the method for hand piecing with them. And I've also talked about the fact that this seam is about, I don't know, 2.5 inches long. So I'm going to actually put another pin in the middle just to secure it. And that just helps with your accuracy. So through that line, and hopefully it'll come out on the line on the other side, which it did. Double pin it. And then I'm going to do a running stitch with a back stitch just to join this together. So 2 stitches in the registration mark, pulled through, about 3 or 4 stitches, running stitches in a row. Then I do a back stitch. And as I've explained in the other video, the reason I do that is it now anchors that. So if I pull on that thread, it's not going to gather up my stitching. I do another 4 stitches. And again, too, the other reason for doing the back stitches is I just like that security, even in a hand stitch seam, that you've got a little anchor point. See, I can show you here that if I was to pull that, it gathers, but only back to that previous back stitch. I'll just quickly stitch along here to show you. Back stitch, keep going. So you can sort of make it a fluid movement in that you do your back stitch, but then just keep going with your next 4 stitches. But again, I'll just show you that if you pull that, it's only gathering back to that previous back stitch. But as I said previously, if you'd rather do this with papers, you can just contact us and we'll make the papers for you. And they can be reused 3 or 4 times, so quite cost effective that way. So go right up to your registration point up here and do 2 stitches there, which is effectively like another back stitch, but do 2 stitches in that spot. Knot it off and then just trim it. And then I would go to the iron and press that seam open. I do finger press as I'm going, and then I'll probably do half a dozen blocks and finger press them all, go and press them with the iron, because I find it's easier to do the next step if this is pressed really well. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the next step. So this is one I did earlier. So that's all ready to go. Now, you look at this and you think, how am I going to get those curves working really well? Well, all you need to concentrate on is that piece from there to there is your first thing to worry about. Don't worry what's going on out here. Just concentrate on this section. So, okay, so we're going to pin this together now. So pin through the registration mark there and pin through the registration mark there. Now I'm guessing because I'm going to turn it over and have a look, but I've done pretty well. So just pin those 2 together. Then I go back and I pin this end here. So through that. Now, of course, this part is part of the edge of your block. So this section sews on, I'll show you here. This section, you start from here because this forms part of the edge of your block. Go through the registration mark on that piece, yep. And just be careful not to catch those seams in your pinning. You want them as free as you can get them. You can, of course, do that first section by machine, but you really need the seam allowance on these pieces to be free, to be able to manipulate them to sew this piece on. Now, because this is a concave and this is convex, we need to be able to get that seam allowance up and match it with this line on the back. So I pretty much put the pin through, and then I come up here. I'm not showing this very well. Put the pin through. Put the pin through here. And massage this so that your 2 edges line up. It's really important when you're tracing and you're cutting out your fabric. It will help you a lot if you cut accurately, and especially on a curved piece. So I've got that now lined up on both sides, and I'm going to pin through here just to secure that. And as you're stitching, so I've just done the 3 points, but as I'm stitching I'll show you what I do. So with my fingers I just massage that top layer up so that the 2 raw edges are even. I start stitching with my double stitch here. And just do your running stitch. And a back stitch. All the while making sure that those 2 edges are together and you're stitching on the line on the back, which I am. So again, just pushing that top layer up. It's the one that tends to want to pull away. I always stitch with this template C piece on top because you can manipulate that easier. Go right up to that registration mark. Do your 2 stitches and then you can take that pin out. Okay, we won't look just yet. Now, so the next section to worry about is from here to here. Don't worry about what's going on over there, just do this, do one blade at a time basically. Come back and manipulate that center section again. And then keep stitching. And again, do your double knot, a double stitch in the center there. Okay, now I'm going to continue stitching right across to there and then I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so now that we have, or I have stitched right across that, it looks a bit unruly, but basically you can see that I've followed the lines around the curves. It's not quite as obvious on this smaller block as it is on the bigger block, but I'll show you what we're going to do now. So we're going to turn this over and we're going to press, I'm just going to finger press for a start, press the background fabric in behind those blades and make sure that it's nice and sharp. You haven't got a big fold at that where the curve is. And you'll find that when you put it down, you get your nice curve. But of course that's all dependent on how well you manipulate the fabric as you're stitching those two together to get the nice gentle curve. You'll notice I've also stitched on this quarter circle at the bottom end, and again the same principle, we're going to press that towards the quarter circle and it will sit nice and flat. So again, like I was saying before, you then get the dimension of the fan because this is sitting up further than the background, and then the base here is sitting up further again, so you get that dimension. So these are the blocks we did before, and they're nice and pressed. So again, you get your nice curve happening. And these are going to go together in this formation. Of course, there won't be we'll mix up the bases. I used about 4 or 5 different fabrics, I think, for the bases. So that's how it will go together. As I said, I'll include some instructions in the pack with the templates as to how many fabrics I've used and the number of blocks I've made in each size and the number of blocks that are in the quilt. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. Always happy for feedback, and if I can help in any way, please don't hesitate to ask. For those that don't know, our website is quite extensive. Every fabric that we've got in the shop is on the website, and our fabric is sold in quantities of 10 centimetres or multiples thereof. And I've done that deliberately because I'm an applicator, so sometimes you need quantity. No, you don't. You need a mix of fabrics rather than a large quantity of fabrics. So I'm more than happy to cut you a 10 centimetre strip of different fabrics. And again, we have these 10 centimetre packs available as well. They're under the pre-cut tab on the website. There's a lot of other pre-cuts in that section as well. And we have an extensive range of 1930s. We have a lot of reproduction fabric. And then we've got Tilda, some basics, and we've got lots of solids to mix in with your fabrics. Okay, thank you again for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you click the notification button, then you can get notified next time we've done a video, and we hope to do more of these as we go. Okay, thank you.